happened last Saturday when members of Hamas set out on a mission with a singular goal to kill as many Jews as possible.
Wrong.
They
wanted to serve a 3-minute hamburger at the top of the hour, which I'm doing right now at the top of the hour. If you no longer want to see those ads, if you want to, if you no longer want to see those ads, okay, you literally made a Holocaust tattoo joke.
Excuse me.
You made a concentration camp joke.
Why are you reminding them of that, dude?
Yeah, you literally said she has a gang tattoo when referencing a Holocaust survivor.
I didn't say that.
Oh, now I'm too far.
No, guys, that's not true.
Everyone saw it. It's on camera. People saying Casey Niestat making a stance. Whoa, wait, what? Protest the war. It's your right, but death to America, death to the Jews. You can right off with that. Discrimination against an entire ethnic group because of the actions of a country 6,000 miles away is un-American and unconscionable. Wait, what?
Yeah, I mean, Casey's a Zionist.
Wait, he is?
For sure.
I don't understand it. He's saying, like, first of all, obviously, like, first of all, death to America. Americans should say that every day of the fucking week. Suck my dick. Death to the Jews is unacceptable. But then he says, but this part, I get it. Like, 6,000 miles away, like, why the fuck are you riding for it? You know what I mean? I mean, is he? I'm a little confused. Yes. He's hitting every avenue here.
He's a Zionist. And it's
are you saying that because he's Jewish?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. No, because he attended, pro-Israel protests, and has supported, and he came out with one video. I like Casey generally. I don't like his politics. He said really cringe shit in the past, but I do like him in spite of his politics. And he made one video about this, and what do you think? What do you think he says in that video? I mean, he says
I don't remember.
It's talking points. It's just like, this is anti-Semitism. The protests are anti-Semitic. How blah blah blah. And this post is just more of that fucking shit. Yeah.
The video's titled Jew. What the fuck?
He's also unironically tweeted like crazy shit about homeless people.
Oh no, I remember that. I remember he was like, he left Los Angeles because like they broke into his car or something.
Yeah. And it's like, dude,
it's a good thing he moved to New York, where crime does not exist. Doesn't know that this man right here,
I'm letting him out. I'm
is
sending
letting
him
him
right
out
to the studio
by the dozens every day.
Casey, I know where you're at. That's not a.
Wait, what the fuck? What the fuck?
That's a studio. It's right near the courthouse. I used to pass by it every day.
Yeah. He went to multiple Zionist marches right after October 7th. That's the craziest thing, to just march to be like, America, please keep killing more. Do you not ever feel a little embarrassed? You don't turn around and you don't even for a moment go like, what the fuck am I doing here?
Let me just clarify that is his normal studio address. He makes stuff there. I know because I've watched many of his videos. I don't like the things he's saying, but I don't hate Casey Niestat. I'm not trying to.
Wait, he's a Zionist and his wife is South African? How the fuck does that work?
That's crazy.
That's wild. South Africans are like the Irish. They're very much anti... Wait. What kind of South African? Wait a minute. No. White South Africans are also pretty fucking based on Palestine, at least now. They're not like... Some of you guys have not caught up, okay? It's not like that at all. Unless I don't think you guys have met a lot of South Africans. There's a lot of white South Africans are also very much anti-apartheid. Yeah. There's a whole rabbit hole with this. Israel does have a small white South African population. I wonder how that happened. Those were the apartheid enjoyers. They're like, I don't really care where this happens. I'm just, I just like it on principle. You know what I mean? I'm consistent in my morals. I'm just a apartheid enjoyer. Okay. So yes, I will move to Israel now that the apartheid has been dissolved in South Africa. You know?
Look at this guy. Look at the guy in red. Check out the hair. That's me in Israel I think in Jerusalem in 2005. If you're Jewish, you get to go on this free trip called Birthright Israel. It's fun. It's like,
Yeah, it's not so great.
it's like summer camp. You go to Israel with a bunch of people your age, and you get to do cool stuff and learn.
Bro, this is so zone of interest. It's like, God, that's why everyone got so fucking mad at Jonathan Glazer. Like, it's giving zone of interest. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, it's like a summer camp. It's so sick. Yeah. You know what it's not a summer camp for? The motherfucking Palestinians later that are not that far away. You know what I mean?
It's like a field trip. It's great. I'm not religious at all, but I'm Jewish. I'm a very proud Jew. And I've always been aware of my Jewishness. When I was a little kid, it was holidays at Nana's house. You know, I was going to synagogue on holidays because that meant I got to skip school. When I was a little bit older, like maybe when I was a teenager, I remember Steven Spielberg's epic movie Schindler's List coming out. And I remember very specifically watching that movie, understanding that that film was like a very true to life depiction of things that actually happened here on planet Earth. A graphic, in your face representation of the Holocaust. And I remember watching that movie and thinking, like, why didn't the Jews just stop being Jewish so they wouldn't get shot? I didn't understand then that to be a Jew, that's your ethnicity. And to hate someone because they're Jewish is not to hate a people based on their actions.
I get it. I legit don't understand that logic. I'm religious, but I'm not religious, but I'm Jewish. What do you mean? Judaism is an ethno-religion to begin with, but beyond that, like, you can be culturally Jewish, you can be Jewish and not be religious at all. As a matter of fact, many Jews are not religious at all. Okay? The problem is the culture of surrounding Judaism is one that is centuries of fighting, oftentimes taking up arms against, whether it be pogroms or resisting against oppression. So when someone says like, oh, I'm Jewish but not religious, my expectation isn't like that they are going to unconditionally offer support to the genocidal regime of Israel. My assumption immediately is, oh, okay, like this person is now about to tell me how they're socialist or something. You know what I mean?
Their politics or who they choose as their God, but it's to hate them because of who they are. And watching that movie, even as a kid, I never understood why the bad guys hated them so much. It made no sense to me. And I'm older now and maybe just slightly less naive, but to hate a people just because of who they are still doesn't make any sense to me. I don't get it.
If I recall correctly, Brace's take was, I didn't go on Birthright, not for any political reason. The vibes just seemed really off. That's funny. I mean, it doesn't have to be like, I mean, obviously Birthright is you know, awful. I really think Birthright is one of the most powerful tools Zionists have to pass down pro-Zionist ideology to new generations unquestioningly. I'm the only member of my family who didn't go on Birthright, and guess who's coincidentally the only member of my family advocating for Palestinian rights? Yeah. Unless you happen to get like the worst dome like Adam Friedland, in which case you then turn around and become an anti-Zionist like Adam Friedland.
Is that a true story?
That's what he says. Listen, who am I to question a Jewish man and his experiences? You know what I mean? I would never do a bodies in spaces like that.
And look, the situation in the Middle East is complicated. And to call it complicated is a wild oversimplification. It's a conflict that's thousands of years old. It's a conflict you can read about in the Bible. The Romans fought over Jerusalem.
Dude, come on, bro. It's crazy when someone goes, no, there's nothing here. It's crazy when someone fucking goes like, oh yeah, I'm not religious, and then it's like, oh, look at the conflict that's like age old. Let me tell you about the Bible. Zionism is basically a religion at this point, the way that fucking people ride it.
The First World War, the Balfour Declaration, the Second World War, 1948, 1967, 1973, 1982, and on and on. It's nuanced, it's complicated, and despite the world's very best efforts for peace, no one seems to be able to figure it out. I certainly don't understand it. It is too complicated for me. What's not complicated, though, is what happened last Saturday, when members of Hamas set out on a mission with a singular goal to kill as many Jews as possible.
Wrong.
They murdered.
They wanted to serve a 3-minute hamburger at the top of the hour, which I'm doing right now at the top of the hour. If you no longer want to see those ads,
if
you want to, if you no longer want to see those ads, okay, you literally made a Holocaust tattoo joke.
Excuse me.
You made a Constitution camp joke.
Why are you reminding them of that, dude?
Yeah, you literally said she has a gang tattoo when referencing a Holocaust survivor.
I didn't say that.
Now I'm too far.
No, guys, that's not true.
Everyone saw it. It's on camera.
Guys, please. I don't have a job. They're never going to employ me again.
Who's they? Wow. Wow. Dude, this guy.
Fucking over. I'm gonna move into your house.
I have too much fun making fun of you like this, but sometimes I do. Okay, I'll have a moment of radical honesty here. Sometimes I get worried that you're gonna like take it seriously and actually get upset with some of the things I say, and I do like I always wanna when we're off stream. I always want to be like, I'm really sorry. Is everything okay?
Yeah,
because you're such a sensitive soul.
I am very sensitive. It's true. I'm a baby.
I told him about how my brother walked in on you pooping.
Why'd you tell them that?
It's fucking hilarious.
It was crazy too. He just came right in. Luckily, I was like scrolling on my phone.
Yeah.
So
he didn't see anything. Don't worry.
See anything.
Yeah.
He just fucking opened the door right up like instantly.
Bro, I was like, I was like, what are you doing? Like, why did you walk in? He's like, it's my room. I'm like, no, it's not.
I should have locked the door.
No, you don't have to lock the door. You don't need to fucking think that like this ape of a man, this hairy fucking demon is gonna walk through your door.
Like
two different doors, not one. Two different fucking doors to go into the bathroom.
There's some, I don't know if I should say it. I don't know if I'm gonna say it. Actually, I'm not gonna say it.
What were you gonna say? I'll mute it.
No, don't mute it. I don't want to say it.
Okay.
I was scrolling my phone.
You are saying it.
Saying it. I don't know. Can we just keep this between us and then everybody in the chat?
It's not muted.
I was I was on the couch looking through my phone, and I was just scrolling like really far back, and I don't, and then there were photos that I was just scrolling past. And I think that your mom was standing behind me. I don't know if she saw them or not.
Oh, March is here. I don't know why he isn't texting me. Wait, hold
on. He doesn't even seem to understand what's happening. Hey. What's up? Why is everybody talking about Marat seeing me poop? All right, anyway, moving on.
Okay, so my mom was behind you and you were scrolling past her dick pics? Is that what you're going to say?
I think she might have saw my dick.
This is why he literally left in a hurry yesterday. I was like, why are you leaving? I don't understand. You don't have to leave. And he's like, no, I got to go. I got to get out of here. It turns out he was doing havoc in my house.
It wasn't on purpose.
My brother told me the story, but my mom did not. So maybe she didn't see anything.
I think maybe she didn't see.
Bro's a menace to the Piker family? Yeah. Ridiculous, dude. Gooning at Hasan's house is crazy. He wasn't gooning. Shitting and jerk. Yeah, he was zerking his shit off, dude.
I was going, damn, this looks good. at my own picks.
Just like he's doing, what was it, Saltburn or whatever?
Saltburn.
What was the name of the movie?
Yeah, what about Saltburn?
With the guy who's like killing the whole family. Isn't that Saltburn?
Oh, Barry Keoghan. Yeah.
Yeah, he's pulling a fucking Barry Keoghan.
I'm gonna own the house at the end.
He's gonna fuck my grave. That's what he's gonna do. Okay, let's keep watching.
Raped, mutilated, kidnapped Jewish women, grandmas, kids, and entire families. And look, war has existed for all of human history, and all war is violence. There's not much morality in any of it, but there's a reason why history singles out the truly reprehensible. And when it comes to walking door to door, shooting families in their
Not
homes,
Israel.
or killing 260 young people at an electronic dance music festival, a lot of those 260 innocent young people were shot in the back as they were running away. Or kidnapping a young woman, violently raping her, and then parading her through the streets to cheering crowds. Or finding out yesterday, confirmed report, that
This is such a perfect time capsule to Israeli propaganda right after 10/7. Yeah.
When was this posted?
This was, he said it was like 1 week
October
after,
11th.
October 11th. Like, it's like fucking, at this point, I mean,
5 days, 4 days.
I'm not even, like, I'm not going to fault him for not being like, let me be critical of all the information that's coming out. Because, like, honestly, if you're a liberal Zionist and I think that's why a lot of people's brains broke after October 7. Because, like, unless you are directly far removed from this propaganda, unless you are directly removed from, like, have you scrolled down it? Every other comment is, so is there a follow-up video? I mean, a lot has happened over the last 4 months, and it isn't rainbow and sunshine. We'll be curious to know your thoughts, Casey. Casey, where's your follow-up video?
That's what I'm saying. He dropped one video.
That's sad to see. I
about
it's
40 dead babies
It is what it is.
were discovered. Some of them still in their cribs. There's no moral equivalency here. There's no justifying that kind of barbarism because of a cause. It is horror.
Oh shit, it's effing. Okay, we're back. Never mind, it's a mini F. We're back.
What happened?
It effed a little bit. The bit rate went down and it was unstable and there were some drop frames, but it's back.
And demonic, and the very worst that any humans are capable of. And
He's going to be really shocked to find out what Israel does on a daily basis to the Palestinians, you know, when he gets to it. Not necessarily like after October 7. I'm saying like in general, even before. He's sure someone will be like, hey, Casey, I don't know if you know this, but like shit was not great.
I'm making this video not because I'm the best person to deliver this information. Read the news if you want to know what's going on. I do not have a deep understanding of the geopolitical situation in the Middle East or some naive answer to a conflict that is thousands of years old. And despite this awesome t-shirt that I have on, you know, I'm not here to give the peace sign and say, can't we all just get along? I'm making this video to be as vocal as possible and calling out anti-Semitism when I see it. Anti-Semitism, that is to hate Jewish people simply because of who they are, Jewish.
I think
Wanting peace.
What's up?
it's so interesting to watch this like today.
Yeah.
Because right, like you said, this is like in that first week right after, and
Yeah, there's a lot of fervor.
And I went to like one of the first protests after October 7th, which was the one in New York City, where the New York Post like took a picture of somebody and like who was like holding up a thing on their phone.
Oh yeah,
I
there's
think,
a
right?
swastika.
The swastika. And then they were kind of like, this is what this is all about. And it's just so interesting because yeah, it's like a time capsule of this moment, and it reminds me of all these conversations I was having with the Jewish people in my life at that time.
Me too. Go ahead. I wasn't even joking.
Oh, you weren't joking. You were saying
No, I was being very. I was being very real.
It was such a difficult thing to navigate because, obviously, like it was very emotional. People were really emotional in that moment, and obviously, anti-Semitism is a real thing that exists that people experience. But it was like impossible to have this conversation about what the historical context was leading up to this, everything about it. And now that we're here, and it's been months of a relentless bombing campaign and a very out and out genocide, very clearly to anybody who's paying any attention, the ability to have that conversation has shifted. Even the tenor of your conversation, if we could call it that, unlike Piers Morgan, where you, I think, were showcasing your own, that you were done with this, that you're pissed that this is bullshit, that it's fucking over. I don't think you could have, there's no way you could have conducted yourself like that at the end of October. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
I don't think so.
Well, I still did sometimes, and people would clip it and would get very... I mean, someone in the chat keeps asking, do you feel like more people are coming back into the community now since October 7? Because in the immediate aftermath of October 7, after the big spike happened in viewership, I went from having a consistent 30,000 concurrent viewership, to 20,000 and even below. And I think that was directly a consequence of people just not wanting to cope with the reality. Like, there are a lot of progressive people who had opinions on Israel that were not progressive. And I think that perhaps that is the reason why now people are finding themselves back in this community, recognizing that perhaps some of the things I said were actually not wrong, but instead were correct, but it took some time for them to reckon with that reality. I mean, this is like it feels like a selfish way to cover this, but as a media person, it's just like a direct... I'm not saying like I'm a victim of this at all. I'm simply stating that I do think that a lot of people who did not want to see the truth are reckoning with the reality and, genuinely changing their perspective a little bit. And you see that in the way that the media is covering this stuff. You see that in the way that like the average citizens and their opinions look like. Many things that would be considered like abhorrent and objectionable, it just directly anti-Semitic on October 8 are now considered valid. I mean, we are talking about like Congress taking action in the immediate aftermath and censuring Rashida Tlaib for saying from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free.
Yeah.
And now it's like, obviously, even though the Senate also passed another messaging bill saying that that's anti-Semitic like last week, the broader, like the public reception to that sort of sentiment, like if anyone turns around and says, yeah, that's anti-Semitic, it's like, you're out of your fucking mind. Most people will look at you now and be like, nah, I don't know about that, dude. You're being ridiculous, It's crazy.
You should read that poem.
I don't want to
read the poem.
I don't want to read the poem.
Read it.
This is from Muhammad El-Kurd. You read it.
No, you read it.
No, you read it. Okay. It says, No Moses in Siege is the name of the poem. For the foreword is, on July 16, 2014, 4 boys aged between 9 and 14 were killed by Israeli naval fire while playing soccer on a beach in Gaza City. Poem goes, was it because there were no more graves in Gaza that you brought us to the beach to die? Was it because rubbling us in our houses, like our cousins, like our futures, like our gods, would be a bore? Was it because our cemeteries need cemeteries and our tombstones need homes? Was it because our fathers needed more grief? We were limbs in the wind, our joy breaking against the shore. Soccer ball in between our feet. We were soccer in between their feet. No place to run. No Moses in siege. Waves stitched together, embroidered, weaved, unwalkable, indivisible, passage, implausible. On most days, we weep in advance. We looked up to the clouds, got up on clouds. Here, we know two suns, Earth's friend and white phosphorus. Here, we know two things, death and the few breaths before it. What do you say to children for whom the Red Sea doesn't part? It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Why you gotta get me all emotional, dude?
It's a beautiful
messed up.
poem. I think it, provides important context to what's happening here. When he talks about a history that he doesn't know or understand, which he is words out of his own mouth.
Yeah. That was from Muhammad El-Kurd. No Moses in siege. Need a daily poem reading with Hasan? No, we're not going to do that. The book title is Rifka.
It's great.
All right, here. Instead of this.
I dog
ear.
Sorry, real one's dog ear.
No, I dog ear too.
Peace for Palestinians, that's not anti-Semitic. Questioning or criticizing the Israeli government or its leaders for their actions, that is not inherently anti-Semitic.
See,
that's an important dialogue that everyone concerned should be engaged in.
Within the confines of the apartheid, where you cannot call it an apartheid regime.
But what happened Saturday was not motivated by a desire for land or freedom or any political agenda. It was about killing Jews.
Yeah, totally. I mean, yeah. If you feel that way, then yeah, it makes everything much more comfortable. You have to feel that way. You have to legitimately think that October 7 is not motivated with any kind of rationale, and it's just simply a bunch of barbaric monsters behaving in a violent way because they don't know anything other than violence, and they're motivated by anti-Semitism. If you ascribe rationale to your enemies, then all of a sudden, what you're doing is going to come across a little bit less permissible. Like, oh, these are rational actors engaging in monstrous acts of violence against the civilian population as well as military positions. Yeah. If you start thinking about it, as though these guys, these people that all they know is death and destruction, that are in a moment of desperation trying to make this monstrosity of an apartheid regime feel that the occupation will be costly to them. In a last-ditch effort of desperation, make the occupation as costly as possible. If you start thinking about it from that framework, all of a sudden, well, these are humans then. All of a sudden, everything you have done in the maintenance of the apartheid is being done towards human beings with goals, aspirations, with future dreams. It's just, then it becomes harder to defend.
Hamas, the perpetrators of that violence, Hamas has a singular mission, and they're not secretive about it. You can read Hamas's charter. It's online. You got to dig around, but you can find it online. And
yeah, he's saying, like, come on, go read some Hamas material. Dude, you don't understand him like I do. He's saying, like, Hamas, got a lot of interesting ideas. You should go read up on it. Hasan, please answer. I've had a crisis the last few months. I go to UT and I had friends arrested yesterday. Should I vote third party? I obviously am not going to vote for Trump, but I can't in good conscience vote for Genocide Joe, not voting for RFK either. I don't know what to do. Will Jank be on the next Texas ballot? I don't know, brother. but you should still vote on your ballot measures. You should still vote for your local politicians. I'm not going to sit here and be like, yeah, you have to vote for Genocide Joe. Anyway, let's continue.
That charter makes it clear it's not about land. It's not about helping the people of Palestine live prosperous or happy lives.
They didn't have the Silicon Valley mindset that Israel has in their 1988 charter that, of course, they updated to be a little bit more, Western adjacent. Yeah. You know who doesn't want Palestinians to have Silicon Valley mindset? Israel, bro. They don't even have a fucking airport. What are you talking about? Israel blew that shit up.
It is about killing Jews. These are not freedom fighters. They're racist murderers. The day of judgment will not come about until fight Jews and kill them. Then the Jews will hide behind rocks and trees, and the rocks and trees will cry out, "There's a Jew hiding behind me, come and kill him." That is a poorly translated but direct quote from the Hamas charter, a publicly stated goal of the murderers. So when I see on social media, especially posts by people that I know, attempts at justifying the acts of these savages by equivocating it, activists, so-called activists, rushing to say that there are reasons why it's okay that those families were murdered, or
nobody.
I haven't heard that much of that.
people like, there were certainly people who are being, as I like to say, as callous as like defenders of Israel are on October 7, on October 8, aftermath of October 7, for sure. But overall, the broadest sentiment expressed by at least those who have been in support of Palestinian emancipation for decades and even longer was much more tempered, was infinitely more tempered than that. And for some reason, of course, nobody wants to fucking talk about that, and the broadest sentiment being that October 7 happened as a consequence of Israel's apartheid. But instead, they want to be like, yeah, no, Hamas loves killing Jews, and everyone is in support of Hamas because they love killing Jews as well.
People who can look at a video of a girl being pulled out of a truck with blood pouring from her pants after she's been gang raped and say all resistance is justified. My question is, like, on what grounds do you make such claims? Have you no humanity? Can you not separate the desire for peace or land or whatever your goals might be from these heinous acts? Like, where do you have to go in your brain before you can stop seeing the murder of babies in their cribs as just that, murders of babies, and instead see it as just? It is incomprehensible to me. The people who marched the day after the attacks holding up a sign that read, "By any means necessary." Really? Any means? Look, of course, there are innocent Palestinian victims out there who need support, who need a voice. But Hamas, the people who committed these barbaric acts, they're not serving those people. That's not their...
Ugh, I hate the liberal Zionist take of like, yeah, the innocent Palestinians deserve more than Hamas. It's like, okay, well then abolish the apartheid. Like, the major actor here is Israel. Anyway.
Goal. Their mission is singular, and it's to kill people because of who they are, because they're Jewish.
Yeah, totally.
And look, I know a lot of folks are scared to speak up or speak out in support of their Jewish friends, because it's a complicated situation. Nobody wants to say the wrong thing. But know that Jewish people, know that your Jewish friends, when they see scenes like this, that's a large group of people chanting "Gas the Jews" in Sydney, Australia, like 2 days ago.
That literally wasn't that like a fucking random group of people, and then they immediately got dealt with by the protesters? Like, Yeah, there's opportunists. That was confirmed fake. Oh, that was actually just straight up debunked. I thought it was like a bunch of random dudes that showed up, opportunists that showed up. He literally just acknowledged it was for the land when he was talking about the protesters, but when he starts referring to Palestinians, he changes it. They want to kill them because they're Jewish. You are in the DeFranco Thumbo. Yeah, that's fake. The audio was manipulated.
Ago, when they see scenes like that, what hurts...
Yeah, it doesn't seem too complicated for Casey Neistat. Like, he keeps saying it's complicated, but it doesn't seem to be that complicated. He's saying that the Palestinians are barbaric monsters, or the Hamas is barbaric monsters, and, you know, they're operating simply on anti-Semitism as, like, their overarching reason. Why would that be complicated, then? This is what I do not understand.
He means the answer is complicated. He thinks that because then if it's a complicated answer, then they don't have to change
what hurts Jewish people more than those scenes is when non-Jews are silent, when their peers are too afraid to speak out against that kind of blatant hatred, that kind of blatant anti-Semitism. All right.
Wait, they were saying where's the Jews, which is a prominent Jewish leader says is as bad. A police strike continues to investigate offenses. I don't know, man. How many Palestinian babies have died in their cribs? I mean, that had not happened yet at that point, or it had just started happening. And obviously, if you were paying attention to the actions of Israel, you would fucking know, regardless, that Israel was about to do some unconscionable shit. The problem, however, is that many who defend Israel always refuse to pay attention to what Israel does. It's just, that's the problem. And he has not done a follow-up since then, I guess.
So school and government officials seek to stop student encampments like we saw at Columbia, with one of the biggest new protests being yesterday at UT Austin, where we saw more than 500 students walk out of class in support of Palestine. And just like at every other protest of this nature, one of the biggest things that they wanted was for the school to divest from companies working with Israel or Israeli firms. Now with this, campus police were quick to try to confront the group, and they tried to...
Look, I don't care about Casey. However, when you're Jewish and haven't been taught the broader context, you're bound to place this in the framework of historical anti-Semitism. It's almost inevitable. With imagery of a guy trying to decapitate a civilian with a shovel, this narrative that we've always been hated and always will be naturally bubbles up first, even though it's completely wrong with this conflict's history and power dynamics. Yeah. No, I that's why I said, like, this was immediately after October 7th. So it's not even just like the real images, but also channels that you understandably trust, mainstream media, was very much hopped up on whatever the fuck the Israeli state was saying. And if you don't think the Israeli state has done anything wrong, as you are taught from early on, and you've never paid attention to what Israel does that's like objectively wrong, unconscionable, okay, then you're gonna feel some type of way, for sure. Now, of course, having said that, it does deserve someone who at least is like it seems like he's a liberal Zionist. It does deserve a follow-up, at least, to be like, yeah, this is fucked up. Because if you feel some type of way about Jewish civilians inside of Israel getting slaughtered, then you should also, if you are a humanitarian, you should also at least have the decency to feel some type of way about Israel's retaliation, which has been infinitely worse.
He's going to make a video about this now.
Who?
Casey.
About me? No, I don't think so. I mean, I've communicated with him from time to time in the DMs. I didn't know that he was like super pro-Israel like that. I suspect that many liberal Americans, many like openly liberal Americans will toe the liberal Zionist line inevitably. When things calm down a little bit, they'll go back to business as usual, you know?
To open negotiations, but reportedly that failed within half an hour, with one officer telling a student that he'd be the first to go. And he made good on that promise, with that student being the first to be arrested. That was then followed up by police getting backup from state troopers and more students getting handcuffed and facing criminal trespassing charges, and police forming a line to push them back. They then regrouped at another part of the campus, and once again, there was a confrontation with police where protesters were forced off the lawn that they were trying to occupy. And in the end, at least 34 people were arrested, 2 of which were members of the media. You know, a big thing here is that UT Austin, that's just a single example of how much schools have been cracking down on students. Or we saw the same thing happen at
Guys, famously, when you fucking bully and beat the shit out of students that are protesting against war and a genocide, they go, oh, never mind. I guess we should stop now. That's historically what has always happened. It doesn't inevitably grow the movement and galvanize the protesters and legitimize, once again, and then put a domestic face to that same fascism for them at all.
Also, from what I recall, the people attacking the students are on the right side of history.
Yeah. Everybody always looks back at that and goes, wow, it's so cool. They should have beat them harder.
USC here in LA, with things there continuing well into the night, and we saw nearly 100 people arrested. And the list kind of just goes on and on. Out in Boston, police spent the night tearing down a pro-Palestine encampment at Emerson College, arresting more than 100 people, with police claiming that no protesters were injured at Emerson, but 4 officers were, including one seriously. But notably, footage from the event puts that into doubt because police were not messing around. Right? So for many, it's hard to believe that no one but officers were injured. And as always, there's been a wide range of reactions to all this, with one of the most viral examples being Hasan Piker on Piers Morgan. Because while speaking about the protest, he had this to say when asked if these protests were just performative.
Absolutely not. I don't think that. I mean, all protests are technically performative, obviously, but there's a very clear-cut goal. That is why they're trying to very clearly cause a little bit of a disruption and engage in.
But are you comfortable? Okay, but are you comfortable?
The most American thing you can do.
Are you comfortable with the ones who are seen chanting support for Hamas or chanting about Intifada?
I am perfectly comfortable with people chanting about the Intifada. As far as the Hamas thing goes, any kind of protest is always going to have a litany of random people, but ultimately it doesn't really matter. You have to look at the actual tangible goals that the protest movement is stating they're interested in. And I think that those goals, and I think you will agree with me on this, Piers, I think those goals are pretty valid overall. I think that they want to, one, recenter the attention to the genocide that is ongoing in Gaza, and two, demand that their tuition dollars do not go to operations in Israel.
However, notably with that, Hasan wasn't particularly happy about that interview, with him talking about it later on stream and how it quickly devolved into an argument about Israel and the war as a whole, rather than what he thought he was there to do, talk about the protests. Right? And kind of after that bit, it kind of just turns into a yelling match. So a lot of that also ended up being the really viral clips because people love slams and clapbacks. But also, to zoom in a bit, over at USC, tensions have been high for a while now, especially after that valedictorian controversy that we covered last week. And while there are many students who are passionately supporting Palestine and want the war to end, you have many Jewish students saying that these situations are veering in a direction that's making them feel unsafe. And at UT Austin, President Jay Hartzell justified yesterday's events, saying the protesters tried to deliver on their stated intent to occupy campus. People not affiliated with UT joined them, and many ignored university officials' continual pleas for restraint and to immediately disperse. The university did what we said we would do in the face of prohibited action.
Look at this new emote they made. Chirping.
Also believe that UT Austin's strong response was influenced by an executive order Governor Greg Abbott issued earlier this month, or with it requiring that schools change their free speech policies to punish, quote, the sharp rise in anti-Semitic speech and acts on university campuses. And Abbott, who authorized state troopers to be deployed to combat the protesters, said on Twitter, anti-Semitism will not be tolerated in Texas, period. Students joining in hate-filled anti-Semitic protests at any public college or university in Texas should be expelled. Also, regarding his anti-Semitism claims, Abbott and many others painted this protest as anti-Semitic because it was organized by the Palestine Solidarity Committee. However, you had many saying at the protest itself there seemed to be no blatant anti-Semitism like we saw at parts of the Columbia protests. Also, another twist to all this is that the demand that UT Austin divest from companies arming Israel is probably not possible under a 2017 Texas law, although notably that law has been challenged many times and continuously narrows in scope. But all of this as there were a lot of people critical of the police and state's actions, such as how armed the police were when they first confronted protesters despite demonstrations being completely peaceful up to that point. We also saw criticism over how the university presented the demonstration, with officials claiming the tough response was needed because the protesters threatened to cancel classes yesterday. But in that Instagram post from Tuesday, the Palestine Solidarity Committee also had details that they encouraged students to walk out of class, not that they were going to forcibly shut down the school. We also saw a lot of faculty members at UT Austin coming out to condemn the school's response, saying, we faculty at UT Austin condemn President Jay Hartzell and other administrative leaders' decision to invite city police as well as state troopers from across the state to our campus today in response to a planned peaceful event by our students. Right, with then many of these schools having more planned protests for today. And then, buying tickets for literally anything has become...
Okay, it's pretty good coverage from Philly D on this. I'm from a third world country, and I never dream of cops showing up to the showing up this heavily armed to a protest. I mean, our cops are fucking that that armed all the time. They're that armed at a fucking police stop. You know what I mean? Asking you two to divest from Raytheon, Lockheed, etc. is like asking your nose to divest from your face. They're part of the same larger entity. True. There's snipers on roofs in Ohio. Jesus, what the
Holy
fuck?
shit.
At Ohio State, 3 confirmed arrests as of 6 hours ago.